Hello, I'm Gareth Jones alongside a rather smart-looking Paul Ogden this week as we for once, absolutely, preview Huddersfield Town away at Nottingham Forest on Saturday. Oggy, all feeling better after a great Easter weekend, 4 points from the two games. How much was that needed by Huddersfield Town? How much better are we all feeling now because of that?
Well, the club is feeling a whole lot better because they know that the team has delivered in front of the home fans and all those potential season ticket holders for next season. Since Monday afternoon and the victory over Ipswich, several families that I've been in conversation with have said, I wasn't thinking of renewing for next season, but I definitely will now after that. They proved to the fans and the board and themselves, perhaps, that they can deliver against a very good team. There was such a structure, a flair about the play. And the goals that were scored by Nahki Wells and James Vaughan were really ones that stuck in their memory. So we all feel a lot better, and there's so much to look forward to now in the remaining 5 games. I think we've all begun to adjust maybe our expectations as to where they might finish now. They're 17th in the table. They could yet improve on that.
Team news going into the Forest game?
Yeah, Jonathan Hogg will possibly be available again on the ground where he made his senior debut at the beginning of last season for Huddersfield Town at the City Ground against Forest. I would say, yes, Ishmael Miller appears to have recovered from his back injury. I'm not sure he would be thrown straight back in there, but you never know with Chris Powell. He says that Harry Bunn is not ready yet and won't be until Derby at home a week tomorrow. But I always keep an open mind for kind reasons. I think that Chris Powell sometimes just steers us away from the actual picture sometimes.
Would he tinker anywhere else? I'm thinking maybe central midfield. Ogden did okay, didn't he? Would Edgar come back in? Hogg, if he's fit, would you change anything else elsewhere?
It's an interesting one because he appears, Chris Powell, to have badged David Edgar as the away defensive midfielder, or at least hinted that he prefers to deploy him away from home, and that is where he has done better, particularly at Wigan and at Sheffield Wednesday on Easter Saturday. If Jonathan Hogg is fit, he will play because he's such an important member of Chris Powell's strategy. The way Town have got to play tomorrow, I would suggest, first and foremost, is find a way of stifling Mikel Antonio. And that probably means a busier than usual day at the office for Tommy Smith. Antonio tends to attack down the flanks, both flanks, I should add, so Reece James will be called into play at certain stages of the day. But Nottingham Forest are not quite the intimidating force they were when Town were first promoted back into the Championship, though the caveat is that Dougie Freedman has made Forest now, since he took over, a much more formidable force at home. I think they've won 5 of their last 6 at home.
You mentioned Reece James there. Let's hear it from the Manchester United Loney, explaining how he's settling into life at Huddersfield Town after 2 decent performances so far.
I've done all right. I think I could have done a lot better in both games, but I think I've been steady away. I think there's still more to come, especially in the attacking sense. I think I've got to just try and learn about the physical side of the game, which I found out on Monday against Ipswich. I had a lot of balls in the air come to my side, which I expected anyway, because I thought they'd target me, with Luke Varney being a lot bigger than me stature-wise. But like I say, I've just got to try and toughen up in those sort of areas.
At the other end, we've seen you get forward a bit, but you say you want to get forward more. Do you think that'll come naturally when you get more accustomed to the role and kind of your teammates and the role Chris wants you to play?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like to play as attacking as I can. I like to put crosses into the box, which I've shown a little bit on Monday. But like I say, it's just getting used to the players that I'm playing with, getting accustomed to where they sort of want my runs and things like that. And I think that'll come with more and more games that I have.
That's the Huddersfield Town Loney from Manchester United, Reece James. His thoughts on settling in at Huddersfield Town. Oggy, I think he's done all right first 2 games. What do you think?
Yep, he's obviously well coached. He is a natural left back. He got caught out a couple of times in front of the home audience last week against Ipswich, but if he didn't get caught out, he wouldn't be human, and he probably wouldn't have been sent out on loan.
Lad as well, isn't he?
His athleticism and his intelligence. I think he reads the game very well. That was apparent, particularly against Ipswich, and I think that shows that he's Manchester United schooled. If he didn't have the odd flaw, they wouldn't have sent him out on loan. So I think he's a very good acquisition by Chris Powell in the manager's own natural position, and this augurs well for the rest of the season and possibly even for next season, because the left-back position as well as the right-back position, they have to recruit there.
One of Town's best performances of the season was the home hammering of Forest. Changed managers since then, Freedman in replacing Pearce. So what's kind of a side are you expecting from Forest? Much different?
Well, the funny thing is, guys, that's an interesting question because the personnel, apart from where he's had to improvise because of injuries to Asombalonga and players like that, the personnel at Forest are largely the same as what came to town and failed badly and failed fairly miserably over the course of the time that Stuart Pearce was in charge this season before he was replaced. So this means we should compliment Dougie Freedman on the job he's done. I think a home game for Nottingham Forest, if you're the visitors, really feels like a championship occasion. It's a smashing stadium. You can feel the Premier League culture there. You can understand why the city of Nottingham, or half of it at least, thinks they should be back in the Premier League. And, you know, you need to compete there. If you get it wrong, they'll give you a spanking. They did that against Huddersfield Town on Mark Robbins' first championship game in charge. So we shouldn't forget that. But I would say it's possibly one to adjust our expectations because Town are doing better now. They had a good Easter. And I would say it's pointed towards what might happen next season for Forest and for Huddersfield Town themselves, because I think Forest will keep largely the same squad and go into next season with it.
So join Kieran O'Regan, Paul Ogden and Dave Fletcher for exclusive commentary of Huddersfield Town at Nottingham Forest. BBC Radio Leeds 774am and DAB Digital Radio. All the build-up starting in our dedicated Town show from 2 o'clock. Before that, at 1:15, we'll be broadcasting our live video stream via the Periscope app on your smartphone and tablets. You can see the instructions of how to get that app via Twitter at WYS Delhi. Then watch that live stream previewing the game live from the City Ground at 1:15 on Saturday.